Hello, welcome to Biography TV. If you're new here, please subscribe and turn on the notification so you don't miss our next video. Biography of Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara. Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara was born on the 21st of December 1949 in Yako, French UpperVolta, which is called Burkina Faso today. Interestingly, Thomas Sankara is responsible for the change of name for the country. Sankara attended primary school at Lasso, where he excelled in mathematics and French. He was also known to show a great level of religious interest, going to church quite often. The priest took note of his passion and encouraged him to go on to seminary school once he finished his primary education. But Sankara instead continued in a secular school for his secondary education, despite initially agreeing with the priest to go to a seminary. He attended the Lycée Uwazin Coulibaly, where he met Fidelity, who he later appointed a minister in his government. His parents, who were ardent Roman Catholics, also hoped he would eventually embrace priesthood, but Thomas, already developing an independent mind, chose to enter the military. At the time, the military was a popular career to have, and even intellectuals at the time were joining. Also, acceptance in the military came with a scholarship. Sankara took the entrance examination and passed when he was only 17 at the time in 1966. While at the military academy of Kadiogo in Ouagadougou, he witnessed the first military coup d'etat in his country, led by Lieutenant Colonel Sangole Lamizana. At the academy, the trainees were taught by civilian professors, some of whom had progressive ideas. One of such was Adama Toure, who was the academic director and taught history and geography. Sankara was among the bright students he invited for informal discussions about socialism, communism, imperialism, and the likes. There, Sankara was exposed to a revolutionary perspective on his country and the world. Besides his academics, Sankara also pursued his passion for music. He was quite good with the guitar. In 1970, 20 years old Sankara traveled to Madagascar to further his military education and graduated as a junior officer 3 years later. During his studies in Madagascar, he was exposed to other fields besides the military like agriculture, an aspect he would later advance in his administration. He also read profusely about world history and military strategy. He read the works of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin, which influenced his political views greatly. Returning to UpperVolta after his studies at Madagascar, he earned a hero status when he fought in a border war between UpperVolta and Mali in 1974, though he would renounce the war years later as useless and unjust. In 1976, he was made commander of the Commando Training Center in Po. In the same year, he met Blaise Compaoré, who would later assassinate him. He became part of a secret organization of young military officers called the Communist Officers Group. Other members included Henry Zongo, Jean-Baptiste Bokari Lingani, Blaise Compaoré. In September 1981, Sankara was appointed Secretary of State for Information in the military government. It was reported that he went to his first cabinet meeting on a bicycle. But dissatisfied with the regime, he resigned 7 months later, declaring misfortune to those who gag the people. After the coup on the 7th of November 1982 that brought Major Dr. Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo to power, Sankara became Prime Minister in January 1983. But barely 4 months later, on the 17th of May, he was dismissed and placed under house arrest after a visit by the French president's son and African Affairs advisor Jean-Christophe Mitterrand. His friends Henry Zongo and Jean-Baptiste Bokari Lingani were also placed under arrest. A year later, on the 4th of August, Sankara became president after a coup d'etat organized by Blaise Compaoré. He was just 33 years at the time, making him one of the youngest heads of state in Africa. Sankara considered himself a revolutionary and was inspired by Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, both of Cuba, and Ghana's military leader, Jerry Rawlings. His policy was focused on fighting corruption, developing the agricultural sector, and making education and health priorities. He changed the name of the country from UpperVolta to Burkina Faso, meaning the land of upright people, in Moray and Dioula, which are the two major languages of the country. He also designed a new national flag and wrote a new national anthem. Within 4 years, Burkina Faso attained food sufficiency because of the reforms introduced by the government of Sankara. Cotton and wheat production also increased dramatically this period. In the healthcare, Sankara aimed to eradicate diseases like polio, meningitis, and measles. A massive vaccination program was embarked on, and in a week, over 2.5 million people were vaccinated. Sankara's administration was also the first African government that publicly identified the AIDS epidemic as a major threat to Africa. Large-scale housing and infrastructural projects were carried out to tackle the housing problems of the country. All the regions in the country were connected by a vast road and rail building program. Over 700 kilometers of rail was laid to facilitate the extraction of manganese under a program called the Battle of the Rails, all these without any foreign aid. These programs were Sankara's attempts to prove that African countries could be prosperous without foreign help. He was opposed to foreign aid and was quoted as saying, "He who feeds you controls you." In a bid to reduce the cost of governance and make politics less attractive, he sold off the government fleet of Mercedes cars and made the Renault 5, which was the cheapest car in Burkina Faso at that time, the official car for the ministers. He also reduced the salaries of well-off public servants, including his, and banned the use of government properties and first-class airline tickets. He was so modest that he refused to use the air conditioning in his office, saying that such luxury was not available to the majority of Burkinabés. As president, he limited his possessions to a car, 4 bikes, 3 guitars, a refrigerator, and a broken freezer. All these were nothing short of revolutionary. His methods were quite unconventional and sometimes offensive to some. In his time, relations with their former colonialist friends and other neighboring countries was not so cordial. Sankara was known as Africa's Che Guevara. In 1987, he gave a speech marking and honoring the 20th anniversary of Che Guevara's October 9, 1967 execution. Little did he know he would be killed just a week later. On the 15th of October 1987, Sankara was killed by an armed group with 12 other officials in a coup d'etat carried out by his former colleague Blaise Compaoré. His body was dismembered and buried in an unmarked grave. His wife, along with their 2 children, fled the country to France. 20 years after his assassination, Sankara was commemorated on the 15th of October 2007 in ceremonies that took place in several countries including Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, Niger, Tanzania, Burundi, France, Canada, and the United States. What have we missed out of this biography of Sankara? Let's know in the comment section. Will it be ridiculous to subscribe to our channel? If no, please like this video, share, and subscribe to our channel.